Welcome, everyone, to the Real Whovians Cast Unlimited Episode 14. I am your host, Matrix Lord 212, and I'm with Chameleon to us. What's up, Chameleon to us?
Hello, everyone.
All right, so this is basically a show where I just interview one person. Originally was on Daily Motion, but it's going to be on all the channels. And basically, I'm going to be asking you questions like when we first met, your likes and stuff of Doctor Who. So I'm going to rehash again and ask you some of those questions in different ones. So what was your first experience with Doctor Who?
My first experience with Doctor Who was, I would have been about 5 years old, and my granddad was watching Legopolis, and I saw The Watcher, and it terrified me. And I've been hooked ever since. So,
now, did Tom Baker become like your favorite Doctor? Did you go backwards, or did you just keep going from Peter Davison?
I used to go to the library and rent all these VHSs of old classic Doctor Who episodes.
Okay.
So I would get like Patrick Troughton and Peter Davison, and I couldn't understand why they were different actors playing the Doctor when I was a kid. But I think I've always liked Patrick Troughton. Tomb of the Cybermen was released on DVD around the time I became a fan, so that was I watched that one to death.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now jumping to New Who? Do you like New Who better than the classic, or there's no comparison, or what?
I sort of can't really compare because I have a lot of sentimental value for old Who because of that. Sort of, I grew up watching it, but I do like a lot of the New Who stuff. I think I liked the last season, especially with Capaldi.
Yes.
And Eccleston and Tennant. I actually stopped watching during the Matt Smith years, not because it was bad. I just sort of lost interest in the series at that time. So. I like a lot of New Who stuff. I think if you want to compare them objectively, New Who is probably going to be a lot better. But, yeah.
When you think about it, it's still the same show. There's no classic, there's no new. It's just a continuation. So you can't really judge. I mean, like, I ask that question sometimes because some people just signify this separate, but it is one show. It is a continuing show. So I do like the stuff that they do now. But I also like the classic stuff more, like when they used to have like those multi-part stories with, the key to time and stuff like that, which I see now that they're implementing in this new series.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is exciting. Okay, so what was your favorite Doctor? Like, who was your favorite Doctor?
I have to say probably Patrick Troughton, and Tom Baker, of course, runs closely behind.
Okay.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed Troughton. I like his he's in the background quite often, sort of planning, not really letting on what he's thinking. That's pretty obvious in Tomb of the Cybermen and Power of the Daleks, especially. And then obviously Tom Baker, who's quite charismatic and funny.
And you like Capaldi, right?
Yeah, I love Capaldi's take on the Doctor. I thought he's probably my favorite of the new series Doctors.
Now, you weren't a fan of Matt Smith, right?
Not really. I sort of didn't really like how vulnerable he made the character. I thought he was very childlike.
Right.
I liked sort of some of his episodes in series 5 and 6, but yeah, I didn't really take to most of his stuff, unfortunately.
Now, why do you think that is? Do you think it's the writing, or do you think it's just his performance?
I'm not sure. I mean, as I said, I sort of stopped watching for more personal reasons during that time. I didn't really get into the show as much, and I sort of came back again for 50th. But a lot of the writing just sort of seems quite confused during series 6 and 7. A lot of ideas are tried that didn't perhaps work as well as they should have.
We're seeing a lot of stuff being repeated.
Yeah.
Which is alarming.
I think, Moffat really needs to expand his, pool of writers and directors and,
See, I like Moffat, and sometimes when I criticize, people take that as I'm a Moffat hater. I'm not a Moffat hater because my favorite episode's coming from Moffat, but my whole point is that he's so good, he doesn't need to take from other things. Like, he doesn't need to take from Hyde and create that whole thing about Danny Pink based on Hyde. Now, Hyde, if you remember, was supposed to be the Earth's first time traveler from the future that was related to the Warners. And he basically recycled that idea and made his guy the first time traveler, which was a descendant of Danny Pink, Orson Pink, and then used a similar idea that that person was related to Clara and Danny Pink, which immediately I noticed because, we're not idiots. I mean, we watch Doctor Who all the time, so we know when something's repeated. So I felt like, while I liked the episode to listen, I'm like, why are we doing this? Why are we repeating? And then why are you taking from, Utopia, where it's supposed to be the last planet, that the Toggle thing was supposed to be going to, which supposedly that was. And, why are we just putting everything in a mishmash and putting in an episode trying to make it like it's original? I mean, I did like when they faced off against a creature and he listened, that was pretty cool. But, in the bedroom with the kid, with the sheets, that was scary and stuff. But I just found, I don't like when he copies, especially with himself, too, because he does do that. And I just want originality. I want us to be surprised. I want us to be, I don't want, people to say, oh, this episode was taken from this episode. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. So, I think he does draw on himself quite a lot. I remember when I watched Last Christmas, it also felt very familiar. One thing Moffat tends to do is he'll have this monster with this one weird idiosyncrasy, for Last Christmas it was don't think about the alien, and then of course you have, the angels don't blink.
Right.
There was don't touch the empty children, all that kind of stuff. And he does sort of seem to repeat the same ideas again and again.
He flipped the idea with the weeping angels where you had to stare at them. And in this one you can't stare at them. Because you can't even look at them or think of them, because then you get hooked with the drink grab thing. So it's he kind of took little bits and pieces from his creations and did the reverse of it.
Yeah.
Basically. And I really didn't enjoy Last Christmas at all. But, all right, let's move forward. So what about your take on the companions?
Which ones?
Well, basically, Clara, first off. We'll start with her.
I think there's sort of some truth in a lot of the, I guess you'd call Clara haters, because she does tend to overshadow the Doctor quite often. But I like that she's got a very strong personality, and, compared to some of the older companions, she's a distinct character. And I think during Series 7, they didn't really build her character that well.
Right.
It's in Series 8 it sort of came to, it culminated in the proper character for her. But yeah, I like Clara. I think I sort of mix about Rose. I liked her character, but I sort of didn't really like the more seductive aspects of her.
Right.
It didn't really fit well in Doctor Who, I thought.
Okay. It did change him, though.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
Dramatically. I mean, you go back and you watch the episodes like St. Pitt, Possible Planet, you're like, oh, yeah, he's in love with her, yeah. It's even the actors admitted, David Tennant's like, oh, that was his girlfriend, even though they didn't do anything. It's like, wow. The thing is, I can't wait for Series 9 because the hype is so much now, I think we're all excited about it. And are you against them, bringing back classic Doctors or no?
Classic Doctors? Within reason, some of the cameos they did in Series 7 in the lead up to 50th, I thought were quite good.
Right.
I sort of took objection to that one scene with Clara and William Hartnell. She's like, I don't pick that TARDIS, this is more fun. I think when they try and meddle in, really old lore, it sort of becomes a bit, dubious. But I think for the most part, I like a lot of the classic references for sure.
Yeah, that scene pissed me off, personally, because Clara did not tell him what TARDIS to choose. That's nonsense. And the one thing I don't like is when Moffat tries to make it his way is the reason for everything. His Clara companion made the Doctor who he was. His Clara companion saved Gallifrey. His Clara companion that he chose basically gave the Doctor new regenerations. His Clara companion basically saved Amy and Rory's marriage by putting her in the episode. It's like his Clara companion got him out of retirement. I mean, stop. The next thing you're going to do is going to say Clara was his mother, his father, and his dog. And it's like that she had regenerations and whatever. I mean, it's like ridiculous. I mean, I just don't, I love Clara. I just don't want her to be the cause of everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Just put her back in her own thing, you know? And I am one to want Danny Pink resolved, because to me, he's not dead because he was in some place that he was in, which is the Nethersphere. So I wish that they explained. I don't like plot holes. That's what bothers me, things like that. But all right, say you're in charge of a doctor who sees with Peter Capaldi. What do you do? Who do you bring back? Who do you remodel? Who's the villain? What's the focus?
I would sort of, I would probably get rid of Clara. I think she's had her time. Assuming this is Series 10, because I'm happy to see her in Series 9 again, but I think after that it would be a bit, if she did return, it would be pushing it. So I'd bring back that companion from Last Christmas. I thought she was quite good.
I thought so too. Shauna?
Yeah, that's the one. I'd like to see her as a companion. I'd keep the sort of dark tone of Series 8.
What about a male companion?
I'd be happy for a male companion, yeah. Because we haven't really seen one. I guess Danny Pink wasn't really a companion, I guess.
Rory was, but...
Yeah, Rory, someone like Rory, I guess. I'd also probably get rid of, this might be controversial, probably Murray Gold.
Really?
I sort of don't really think his scores suit Doctor Who most of the time. So I think sometimes they're really good. Like, I really enjoyed Into the Dalek.
Right.
That was very low-key and electronic, and I thought that suited the show perfectly. But, I think hearing the name of the Doctor for the billion at the time during Series 6 or whatever was kind of a turning point where I'm like, Murray Gold needs to go at some point.
Yeah, we did a long time ago, we did a cast where we found out where he got the idea for the 11th Doctor's intro, and it was already something that was around before that. I don't know if you ever saw that episode, where we found out it was like from some movie. We'll probably do a cast on it this week again. But it was just funny how that intro was the same, and he kind of tweaked it a little bit. So I'm wondering if you can really listen, how much stuff did he take and where did he take it from? Because you got to get your inspiration from somewhere. So maybe unconsciously he took it from different things. Yeah, but exactly. I like his stuff. I want it to be different from each Doctor. Like originally with Series 8, I didn't feel that was, we didn't get enough. I mean, like now when we've seen the trailer of Series 9, the music like dun dun dun, that's like really exciting, and he's into it. But it didn't seem like he was as into it in Series 8, Murray Gold. So hopefully we'll get a better soundtrack. I think Missy's got a different theme. I think this year. Last time it was like a backwards thing, So I want him to stay. And then also Capaldi, I want him to stay a while.
Yeah, Capaldi has to stay for some time. I'm sort of dismissive of all these rumors that he's going to leave after 2 seasons, because if you look at some of the interviews, he clearly loves the role and wants to stay for a long time. So, yeah,
I want, like, if Moffat's going to go, I want Capaldi to stay. So that's the thing, because usually when you get a different showrunner, you have their own Doctor, but I don't want that to be the case. I think if Gatiss, I feel Gatiss is probably going to take over. I think they should keep Capaldi.
Yeah, I definitely want to see Capaldi, a season of him at least under a new showrunner, because I think maybe Moffat might be sort of limiting his his full potential, I guess.
I think that these writers need to just go with what they want, not being told what to write about.
Yeah, that was a major problem in that Neil Gaiman episode. Apparently, that was extensively rewritten from what it was originally meant to be.
There was a story about Neil Gaiman had a script, and I don't know if it was a Doctor Who script, and he left it in a taxi, and then he had to rewrite everything on the fly. And then I'm not sure if it's a Nightmare and Silver script, but yeah, the whole point was that the kids were not supposed to be a part of that.
Yeah, exactly.
And another main reason why that's the case is because of Earthshock and the death of his companion, the Doctor wouldn't just let kids sleep next to a Cyberman.
Mm.
That's stupid because he did lose his companion because of the Cyberman. So that wouldn't make any sense at all. And, you know, taking kids, I wouldn't picture him just taking kids in the cars going someplace.
Yeah, exactly.
This isn't like the Family Channel for ABC or whatever. I mean, it's just like there's real threats out there. Like, what if you get the Daleks and stuff? And then the fact that, you know, they wouldn't be killed by the Cybermen would be ridiculous because they're evil. You know, you can't say, all right, they're good now because kids are in it. You know?
Yeah, it'd remove all the threat from the, you know, the enemy if they did that.
Yeah. And then they tried to make them unstoppable, which, you know, if you had a Cyberman that was at super speed, the Doctor would never win. They think would like snap his neck or something or whatever. It's like that they could upgrade every 5 minutes. They're not the Borg, so let's just stop it right there. I'm not a fan that they look like Iron Man either. That's like
I want the Cybermen to be redesigned, like again from the Cybus ones. Like I said, I like the Cybus ones, but they're too robotic.
Right.
I'm a fan of. I don't know. I guess a more sort of humanoid form. A lot of the older Cybermen had sort of plastic.
Silver Nemesis type.
Yeah, Silver Nemesis, kind of like that. You know, it wasn't entirely a sort of metal shell that they were walking around in. There was a lot of, you know, plastic and wiring, and I'd like to see something more like that to show that they're sort of, you know, they were once human rather than just, you know, brains and tin cans. So
I did like David Banks when he was cyber leader.
Oh yeah, he was great.
And I don't know if he's around, if they could get him back to do that. I want that type of set, you know, military rank thing. Like, I don't want them to have a different leader all the time. I want it to be the same leader. Like, you know, we have Davros with the Daleks, but half the times the Daleks are Supreme Dalek, Emperor Dalek. I want there to be just a cyber leader that just continues on in every episode or every couple times, rather than just, all right, who's leading this time? You know, this woman, the next Doctor, or whatever. You know.
Yeah.
So we'll miss it.
Yeah, it seems like with a lot of the Cybermen episodes, they sort of take second place to another character. Like, you know, you had John Lumick in that first David Tennant one, and then you had Missy, obviously, in the most recent one. So, yeah, a proper, like, you know, cyber leader would be good for the series, I think.
You need some stability with that. And you also need to see an explanation, like, did these Cybermen send the plans to an alternate universe so that way that guy would build the Cybermen? Because that's what I believe. Okay? Because we didn't know that would make sense if they explained it that way, because you can't just say that alternate reality Cybermen are our Cybermen, which they are saying, like, without any explanation. So, I mean, they've become like the Paradigm Daleks, because when we saw Nightmare and Sober, there was the other kind, and they were just like an antique. You know? So I want that clarification. And also they repeated that with Victory of the Daleks, which pissed me off too. It was like the same story. I want to see, because here's the thing that they never really went into. The Time Lords escaped, like people tried to escape the Time War. They went into outside the universe, like we've seen with House, with the Doctor's wife. They went through the Void. They went through all this, and the Daleks went after them. You know, so technically, you know, just like we've seen the Daleks in the Void, there should be like Time Lords out there. Like the fact that nobody escaped, you know, would be ridiculous.
Yeah, I would expect, you know, hopefully there would be some sort of renegade Time Lords that, you know, the Doctor could encounter later on.
And they never explained the Daleks going into the Void. Like, they must have made a mistake when they were doing the special effects, because supposedly the Daleks and Doomsday and Cybermen were supposed to go in there. But when you see the special effects, you only see the Daleks go in there.
Yeah.
They didn't show any Cybermen going there, they're both going in there. You know, it's like, oops. So we know that when the Void was collapsed, that all the Cybermen wound up in next Doctor. But what happened to the millions of Daleks? Where did they go? You know, so I would love for them to just do something where the Daleks are just the rulers of some universe someplace, because that's where they went.
Yeah, exactly.
They went in a parallel universe, and they took over. He goes there, and he's like, this is my fault. Because when the Void collapsed, they went there, like, you know, and then he has to stop it, you know. I would be open for the Doctor traveling other universes.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting. Obviously not, you know, he can't do that every single week, because they have to keep it relevant to our universe, I guess. But that would be a really interesting plot line to have him go to like another universe and see that the Daleks fallen through and taken over, and that can be like sort of big moral question of that season.
Yeah.
This is done or not, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I think if let's just say fantasy Doctor Who, if I became the showrunner, I probably would want to solve or clean up all the messes and plot holes that he's done. I would do an episode showing the Doctor going back to Manhattan or that cemetery and taking out that weeping angel, because you can't just leave a weeping angel in New York City in a cemetery. I would explain what happened to Madame Kavarian, because Moffat promised us she was going to return in Series 8, and she didn't. So obviously he had plans for her to come back. I want to know what the hell was the purpose of building up the headless monks and then never explaining them.
Yeah.
I mean, did you like the headless monks?
Which episode were they in again?
The headless monks were mentioned in their final fate was mentioned in the Time of Angels when he was in the museum with Amy, but we've never seen them. Then we saw them in A Good Man Goes to War. They had like the lightsabers type of things, and they fought Rory and Vastra and Jenny and Strax, and like they just mentioned them here and there, but we've never really got to know who they are, why they like that, what makes them tick without a head,
I guess Moffat does leave a lot of that sort of continuity up in the air, and he says he'll resolve it later, but it never really happens.
And I was curious why the Silence weren't in A Good Man Goes to War at all, but Headless Monks were. It's like Madame Vastra had another group of people helping her rather than the Silence. Like, why weren't they there?
Yeah.
So, but like, again, as a fan, it's like, we want so many things, and of course we want things that probably will never happen, but it would be nice if Moffat, before he leaves, could explain some things.
Yeah, hopefully he will, and not just in like one sentence or anything. So
now, another thing I was wondering, do you ever think that any of his classic companions could ever become like a villain in a future episode?
Possibly. I mean, I'm trying to think of who they could get.
I mean, I always thought, because, like, how, like, in Series 1, where he was messing around, like, trying to help out the future, and he basically prevented the Fifth Galactic Empire, which was supposed to be the biggest empire of Earth or whatever, and he kind of erased it because the Daleks took over. Remember that? Like, the timeline shifted, was erased, never happened. I kind of hope that, like, I mean, I would like to see how he would deal with his own companion becoming evil and then having to deal with that. Imagine if Clara was evil. Like, what would he do? Would he be defeated? I mean, is that the way to defeat the Doctor? I mean, what if, Donna Noble, she's rich, she's powerful now, she's got the lottery ticket, she don't have any memories of helping the Doctor. What if she turned evil and then Paul had to take care of it? Like, how would he deal with that?
That'd be interesting, actually, because the Doctor would obviously be very conflicted about that. They could do something with, like, some of the actresses who are still around, like the woman who played Ace. I think in some of the Sophie Aldred. In some of the novels, they had this big story arc where she went to Gallifrey and became a time lady. So they could do something with that, I guess, like have him encounter her and, she's evil or something. She got corrupted by the Time War or something. That could be an interesting story.
It would be great storytelling. It could be like a whole season. He has to deal, like, and then, like, the new companion's like, why are you so upset about it? And it's like, my fault. Like, the Doctor would be like, oh my God, like Perry, I left her there and she became, like, whatever, her daughter. It could be like a whole thing, it's like, it would be really interesting to see.
Yeah, I'll be keen to see that as well, yeah.
Now, there's also another thing is the fact about the War Doctor. Were you a fan of the War Doctor?
Not really. I mean, I think he was kind of just wedged into the series because they couldn't get Elson back. Um,
So the problem was that Eccleston just regenerated after the Time War. It was always supposed to be Paul McGann that ended the Time War. Okay?
Yeah.
Moffat just had a problem with Paul McGann, as you saw in the interviews. He just didn't want that doctor doing it. So he wanted to do Eccleston. I mean, Eccleston, from what I remember, was signed, ready to go, read the read-through, and he's like, well, wait a minute, hold on. I just regenerated in Rose, so you can't say that I killed billions of people and then I'm with Rose, and it doesn't make any sense. And he didn't want to do it. He left because he's like, that's not my doctor. Like, he wouldn't do that. So Moffat decided to do the John Hurt thing. But again, Moffat got a lot of heat from his friends about that. Like, he even said that in an interview, like, he may even retcon it or change it because people were pissed about that eventually if his conscience, if he can't take it. Do you believe that Karn's intervention, like, in other words, do you believe that, say the War Doctor never existed, would he always become the Ninth Doctor? Like Christopher Eccleston? Do you see, like, the potion as a secondary regeneration?
I'm not sure, really. I mean, yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest.
Because when they revived the Eighth Doctor, they said, you're dead, or you're going to die in a few minutes. Like, he could not regenerate, like, because it was, like, beyond the point. So do you see that as, like that potion as, like, another regeneration that restarted his whole cycle? Not restarted the life cycle, but, like, basically turned it back on, where that regeneration made him regenerate into that War Doctor, but the Ninth Doctor was always in him. Like, he was always going to be the Ninth Doctor. Like,
right. Yeah, that could be a possibility. I mean, they're still yet to explain exactly how the Doctor chooses who he regenerates into. I mean, that was meant to be explained in Series 8 because obviously Capaldi was in Fires of Pompeii, and I thought that was going to be a major story arc in Series 8. But that's still unresolved. So, I think that depending on how he regenerates to certain people, that could be, it could have been like that.
Do you think the Time Lords altered his face to show where they were? To look like, Caecilius?
What, sorry?
Do you think the Time Lords gave him the face of, what was it? Was it Caecilius from Pompeii? That the Time Lords chose that face to give him a hint where they are?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, as I said, it sort of depends on how his faces are chosen, because obviously the Time Lords do have some sort of control over it, because we saw with the War Games,
yes,
they chose who he regenerated into. So yeah, that could certainly be how he chose that face. Well, they chose that face. So yeah.
Now, if Capaldi regenerates, how old is he going to be, the actor? What do you think?
I think they. Well, I think they're going to go for a female next. I think Missy was kind of like the treading water to see if it would work. If Moffat is still showrunner, I think for sure they'll go for a female Doctor next. Probably 30 or 40, I guess.
I think it would be too obvious to make him a female because they talking about it so much, you're expecting it.
Yeah.
I said the big mistakes would be regenerating him into a female or regenerating him so young that he's like 20 years old or a teenager. So I would be against that, but I would be totally against the woman thing because I don't feel that would be right to do that. But what do you think? I mean, you think that's where we're heading? Yeah?
Possibly. I mean, I don't think there's been so much, a lot of people are sort of crying out for a female Doctor. It could be a controversial thing to do and see how it goes. I really wouldn't want to see a female Doctor, to be honest. I don't think it would, work quite as well. You sort of have to have that male and female companion dynamic going on.
Right.
I feel a bit weird, like, if James Bond was suddenly female.
I know Haley Atwell, right? I guess her name right, Agent Carter. She wanted to be the Doctor, and a lot of people afford that. Would you be for her becoming the Doctor?
Not really. Like I sort of vaguely know her, and I don't think she really looks like a Doctor.
Right.
And she's American, isn't she? Or is she British?
I think she's British.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I would like to see them. Like, ideally, if they were, if they said, Peter Capaldi said tomorrow, I'm leaving, choosing the Doctor, I would like them to audition, when they audition, to, keep in mind, look for a character that could play a doctor rather than thinking, okay, we're going to choose a female doctor or a male doctor this time. Like, judge the actor by their own merit rather than by their gender or age or whatever. And, let's say another, an 80-year-old actor comes along that's really good, choose him regardless of his age or whatever. So,
well, like if Idris Elba interviewed for it and he knocked it out of the park, give it to Idris Elba, right? I mean, it doesn't matter what they are. Why not? Yeah. So, what about, do you think there's going to be a time in Doctor Who history where he's going to be without the TARDIS?
Possibly. I mean, obviously there was that first couple of series of Pertwee he was grounded on Earth for a while, but he did still have access to the TARDIS, I guess. But
like, how Peter Davison's Doctor didn't use the sonic screwdriver really. I mean, it did use it once, whatever, it blew up, whatever. Like, he had to use his brain. Do you think they would ever do something with the TARDIS and it would be like a season without the TARDIS, or like a couple episodes span?
Maybe a couple episodes. I'm not sure an entire season, just because the TARDIS is kind of so instrumental in getting from to different places.
Right.
Especially in the new series, they've kind of made it so time travel is a lot more important to the narrative. But I don't know. Possibly, if they would have to have another way of getting from location to location, though. If the TARDIS was inoperative for a significant amount of time, so they could do that thing in Tom Baker's first season, because that was rolling around the space station where they sort of traveled between the space station and then Earth, and then
the Centaur, right?
Yeah, so something like that could work. Yeah, and I would be interested in seeing it, but it would have to be planned very meticulously, I guess. So
yeah. Now, what about the subatomic? I mean, we've seen Into the Dalek; they shrunk down, right? What if it was possible that the Time Lords and the Daleks or whatever, they didn't go to a parallel universe, they shrunk? Like, what if there's a whole world subatomic size where there's a whole other universe? What if they did something different like that, where the TARDIS for a whole season was shrunk and was dealing with different things in that dimension, different creatures, different races, different, in a micro universe. Yeah. I mean, and then, because basically we could do anything in Doctor Who. We could travel in time, we could travel in space, we could shrink. I mean, you think they would ever do something like that?
Oh, yeah, that would be a very interesting idea for a whole season or whatnot if they did that. There's a lot of opportunities they could go with if they sort of all shrunk down. Yeah,
it would be a whole new world. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
They'd be so small that, anything could be a world to them. Like a leaf could be like a world or something. It's weird. It's depending on the size, or maybe if they shrunk down so much, they went into another universe, a different laws, different thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because don't forget, remember when I think Patrick Troughton, they were in Hit Doctor, they traveled into another universe where this guy was called the Master, even though he wasn't our Master. Remember that one?
Oh, the Mind Robber, yeah.
Yeah, and it was the whole universe was based on his mental, his mind, which I think they referenced that in Rings of Akatan.
Yeah,
Mind of a Madman. I mean, the possibilities are endless. I would just go with it, go in different directions, make Doctor Who fresh.
That's the thing, Doctor Who can, aside from the TARDIS and, the Doctor and Companion, you can pretty much do anything with the series. You can put the Doctor on, on the moon on one episode and then shrink him down to, explore a house's backyard, like in that William Hartnell episode. You can pretty much do anything, really. The possibilities are endless.
And you don't need to be focused on Gallifrey. You don't need to be focused on him just traveling. He could have a threat like the whole Valyard thing. Oh my God! At some point in time, I'm going to be evil, and that could be a whole season or two, where he knows he's going to become this, and he wants to find out about the Valyard, or what happened to the Valyard. He was left in Gallifrey as the keeper of the Matrix. I mean, did he alter the Time War? Did he open up the time lock so that way Dalek Khan can go and take Davros? Has he been manipulating things behind the scenes? Is he still around? Does he have a new cycle of regenerations?
Yeah, because the value add is sort of they haven't really addressed that yet in the new series.
No. Also, the Black Guardian. I mean, the last appearance of the Black Guardian was Enlightenment, right? So right? I mean, we were supposed to see another final battle with. I mean, the Black Guardian saw into the future and saw that there's going to be another battle with the Doctor, the final confrontation. So we still have to see the Black Guardian. And the Mara we saw twice, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
I was actually talking to someone about the Mara the other day. I'm not sure they should bring it back. I probably wouldn't want to see the Mara come back, to be honest.
Okay.
Like Kinder and Snake Dance, those 2 episodes of the Mara from the Davison years, they're like some of my favorite episodes, and I don't think they could possibly recreate a lot of the sort of mythological and psychological stuff around the Mara. Like, if you remember in Kinder that episode, there was quite a lot of stuff going on with Tegan.
Well, if they brought the Mara back, I would think they would have to have Tegan Javanka back. Just as like a trilogy thing, like her now.
Yeah.
That would be pretty interesting. I mean, I don't know. Do we know what her character is now? Isn't she like an ambassador or something?
I'm not sure.
I remember in Sarah Jane was telling the kids at the end of the episode that she was talking about Ian Chesterton. She was talking about this one. I think she said something about Tegan Javanka, but I don't remember if she's an ambassador or something.
Okay. I've never seen the Sarah Jane Adventures, so I'm not too sure.
Oh. Yeah, if you do watch the Sarah Jane Adventures, watch the Doctor ones.
Right.
Where the Doctor is in it, because you got a great opportunity where Russell T. Davies got to write for Matt Smith, and it was fantastic. Okay. It was like, wow, that's the only way we have that Russell T. Davies wrote for Matt Smith. I mean, some things are kind of kiddie-ish, but his performance as that he wrote for Matt Smith was great, I thought. Okay. So,
yeah.
All right. So, what about like villains? What's your favorite villains?
Overall, probably Cybermen and Autons, I guess.
Autons, yeah.
Cybermen, much like the show, the Cybermen can adapt constantly and keep up to date with modern technology. And the Autons, it's just like a really clever concept, bringing plastic to life.
I like that. I always liked that from Pertwee's time. They're always creepy, and a lot of movies copied that, like with the Autons, like the Austin Powers and all these things. With the robot, always freaky.
Yeah, I'd like to see something like similar to Terror of the Autons, where they sort of explore less the Autons and more how like plastic can be used as a weapon. Like bring back the Nestines, but sort of show the weaponized aspect of plastic more. With maybe not the deadly chairs and stuff like that, but clever ways that you can have plastic try and be terrifying. So I'd like to see that in the future episode if they ever bring back the Nestines.
What about the Weeping Angels?
I'd like to see them again. I think the Weeping Angels are probably the best villain that is exclusive to New Who.
Wouldn't it be better without Moffat doing the Weeping Angels? Like, wouldn't you want to see like Neil Gaiman do the Weeping Angel episode, or like somebody else doing the Weeping Angel episode? Yeah,
I'd be curious to see that. One thing that I don't like with Moffat when he brings back the Angels is that he always adds like some sort of new thing to them. Like in that 2-part, it was like they, you couldn't look at an image of an angel because it becomes an angel itself.
Yeah,
I'd like to see sort of a more basic adventure with the angels, where it's just like they encounter the angels in a unusual setting and all this sort of stuff happens. I'm not really too keen on seeing a.
Well, basically, correct me if I'm wrong, right? I was thinking about this with the Weeping Angels. Wouldn't the only way to defeat a Weeping Angel, like totally, where they be completely destroyed, is if they're like this? You just show a mirror and show them themselves, because they can't technically look at themselves. So wouldn't they just blow up? If like they're like this, and he just takes a mirror and sticks it in their face. I mean, wouldn't that be a way to defeat the angels? I mean, they're always like this. They can't look at each other, especially not themselves. So they're quantum locked. So if you did that, they'd be destroyed, probably.
Yeah,
I was thinking about that.
I guess if it's a mirror, then like if you hold a mirror to an angel and no one's looking, then technically no one's looking, so they can still maneuver throughout time and space or whatever.
Yeah, but they can't look at themselves, though. So if they see themselves, then they're done.
I guess it's technically a reflection. It's not like another angel, so I don't know how that would work. Yeah, that could be an interesting story.
Yeah,
that's very much like sort of Medusa kind of thing with,
right.
you know.
And the silence too. We always, they were so cool, and then we're like, oh, the silence can take the Daleks. And all of a sudden, you see the Daleks just absorb the silence like it's nothing.
Yeah,
Remember that? That was But I would want another story with the silence, more explaining, like what the hell they are. I mean, did the church just grow them in the, like, what was that about? I always would think that the silence was created by Omega, because he created a whole bunch of different races in the antimatter universe. You know, and he would be the only one that would be able to extend the signal to the Ganger with Amy that would allow her to be a Ganger in the Doctor's Wife episode, because nobody would have the power to basically boost that signal. You know, the connection with the flesh. So I always felt the Omega was behind everything. But we'll find out if that's still to be true. All right.
Let's come back.
Let's see. Anything in closing? Let's see. Oh, yeah. Before we go, who would you redesign?
Who?
Like,
as in
other words, name a villain that you would take, not the Daleks, not the Cybermen, not the base, you know, that you just one return that they haven't been on for a long time, and you would redesign. You know, like Mark Gatiss brought back the Ice Warriors.
Right.
He said he promised to redesign them later on, but
the Draconians for sure.
Yeah,
they've been in for a while.
Didn't we get close to that in Rings of Akatan? Like that creature in there? That was like a...
Oh, we might have actually. Because they did show a lot of alien species in that episode.
Yeah,
there've been rumors of Mark Gatiss doing a Draconian episode for like years. At least since like 2013, so I'd be keen to see something like that.
I've been talking to Sea Devils, you know that.
Yeah.
Just bring them back already.
Yeah. Do a Sea Devils and Silurians two-parter again.
Yeah. But I'm also for, like, the Celestial Toymaker returning, or the Ronnie, really.
Yeah. Ronnie would be good. I don't know. I disagree with Moffat saying that she's unmemorable. I mean, I think a lot of people would like to see her return.
Yeah, I think so, too. But she was always the type that she didn't hate the Doctor. She just didn't want him getting in the way.
Yeah, exactly.
But then in, like, Dimensions in Time, she's like, I hate you! Like, whatever. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What is that? Yeah. So, all right. So this has been fun. Thank you, Chameleon Tours.
Thank you.
And, you know, guys, check out this week. We're going to have a lot of podcasts, and we're going to have the reveal of The Magician's Apprentice. We're going to have our reactions on Saturday. So thank you very much, Chameleon Tours.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye for now.